Blog Talk Radio.
The motherfucking saga continues.
Yo, what's up, world? It's badass thuggin' like I usually do, and you better turn it up, bust some speakers out, cause we off the motherfucking cuff. You dig how we do it? Dog Pound Gangsters 2000 and beyond. Blah.
What's up with it, John? Man, don't change that down. This your play upon the legendary cocaine. And you tuned in live to Off the Cuff Radio. Better not touch that down. Wigglin'.
Yeah, this is Cassidy, the hustler. And right now, you listening to the Guillotine. Show them the respect they deserve, man. Off the Cut Radio, man. Y'all already know how they doing it, man. I need y'all to stay tuned. They've been doing it for years, so show them the respect they deserve. And you heard it out of bars, mouth. Easy.
Keep it moving like this. Yo, this your boy Rampage. You're not rocking with the best. With Off the Cuff Radio. Classic. History. Fix your face to all you haters. We off the cuff, baby.
What's up, everybody? This your girl, Bonnie Dollars, the Queen of Trap, representing Crenshaw, and you are now tuned in with Off the Cuff Radio. What's up?
What's up, y'all? This is Miss Irresistible, giving a shout-out to the livest show on Friday nights, Off the Cuff Radio, and I'm live from the 704. Make sure y'all tune in for the blazing hot music.
What it ain't, what it do. It's Chili Chill from that original Lynch Mob. And Off the Cuff Radio, always where it's at on Friday nights. West, y'all.
This ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, this ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, this ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, second mile, you're a genius. You digging me?
This ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No. This ain't for the under 30, I hope you heard me. This ain't for them young niggas who wearing purses. This is for the grown niggas who out here working. This ain't for them young niggas. This ain't a nursery. This is for the smart niggas and smart women. This ain't for the crash dummies cause you caught feelings. This is for the hustle guards and bread getters. This is for the father figures who raise winners. This ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No. This ain't for the disrespectful, cause I'm respectful. This is cause you call me uncle, like you my nephew. This ain't for the juveniles or the BGs. This is for the OGs, the uncles and the aunties. This ain't for the pussy poppers or the boppers. This ain't for you dancing niggas or TikTokers. This ain't for the shicey wearers or skinny jeaners. This ain't for the pedophiles or Epsteiners. This ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa, this ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them young niggas. Whoa. This ain't for them young niggas. No, this ain't for them.
This ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, this ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, this ain't for the young. This ain't for the young. No, this ain't for the young. No.
Yeah, we locked in.
Special episode of Off the Cuff Radio going down tonight. I'm your host, King Eric, the Media Assassin. And this show is sponsored by Screwball Radio, Buddy Boy Entertainment, Da Vinci Clothing. Got my host, T Max, with the facts on the line. What's happening with you?
What's going on, man? It's another wonderful Wednesday on the freshest frequency of the talk show flow on the radio, off the cuff radio. Shout out to our co-host of Spirit, Ella Sandman, Lady Chinchilla, and of course, DJ Sincere of Dirty Basement Radio in New York. And of course, a big shout to King Era Productions making this all possible. Once again, y'all, we got another fantastic show tonight, taking it down, down, down to the down dirty NO. That's New Orleans for those that don't know, aka the No Law, the 504, doing it what we do, man. And we got a very, very, very distinguished and special guest tonight. King, tell them who we got.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Fleetwood for making this connection happen, man. This brother on the line here is a New Orleans legend, man. A lot of your favorite rappers pretty much put some respect on his name, so to speak. I mean, he has a independent label, Nothing But the Funk Records. He's a community activist. He puts on for his people. He has a lot to tell us and a great story to tell, which is the only reason why, if not the main reason why, we want to bring him on here, man, because he has a story that I feel that everybody needs to hear and a lot of game to get. So let's welcome Sess 45 live and direct, man. What's good?
Everything good. You heard me? Successful 5 is here. God is good. God is good. Straight from New Orleans. You heard me? With the new single. You heard me? This ain't for them. Whoa. How y'all making out,
Whoa.
fellas? Whoa.
Look, that's that NOLA soundtrack right there, man. Welcome to all,
Yes, sir.
welcome, man.
Yes, sir. Glad to be in the building, man. Shout out to you, King Eric, and you, T Max. Let's get it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
You know what? When I first heard the song the other day, I said, this is the energy I'm talking about, man. This ain't that weirdo shit. It's like, this is what we need right here. We need grown folk talk, putting this weird stuff to bed, man. I mean, I appreciate the dialogue, what you were putting on there.
Nah, definitely. I think it's a great fun record for, the OGs, the uncles, the aunties, the teeters, however you want to look at it, But I think we need something, for us, and something that sound, good, fun, and it's, like you said, got a message. And so we came with the This Ain't For Them, and I'm getting some great feedback so far. It just dropped Friday. July 31st. So it's coming out strong.
You have any visuals planned for it?
So we shooting a video this Saturday. So later this month or either early September, the video will drop.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Definitely. Sess 45, you stay loaded on the talent with a clip ready to rip on them rhymes. You come from a long line of distinguished New Orleans artists, of course, Soldier Slim, Magnolia Slim for those that really know, Cash Money, of course, Currency, and of course his brother, big brother, Mr. Marcello. Man, can't forget G.I. Peaches, man. I mean, the list goes on in terms of what you all have bought from the 504 for the culture, and it cannot be understated. It cannot be, we can't speak enough about what you all have done for us and how you have enriched it. Tell everybody about your start. How'd you get started in this?
So I do want to clarify, the record label is Nothing But Fire Records.
Yes, sir.
So I started in 98 I did 2 different albums that dropped on the same day. I was on a project called LOG Camouflage Down, and I was on an album of Miss T, Hot Girl, which she's a former Cash Money artist also. So she done a lot of work with she had a number of different albums with Cash Money also. And I just come from this legendary city that had a lot of legendary artists, and I worked with so many of them. Like you mentioned, Soldier Slim. I got an unreleased record on Soldier Slim, and Mr. Marcello is on the same record. Also that I'm gonna drop either later this year, early next year. But I work with everybody from this city, from Mir X, the Fifth Wall Weeby, UNLV. Of course, like I said, Soldier Slim. It's just so many of them. Fiend, and I also, opened a record store in New Orleans post Katrina in 2007. But I started in '98, you know, doing music. Had a project called Sac Mafia in late '98. Took over the city. Had some great records, and then I started Nothing But Fire in '04. And man, we just had an awesome career. Sess 45, Nothing But Fire was the first release in 2004. And man, just been making great music, legendary stuff just in these past 20 plus years.
Yeah,
Um,
who inspired you and who inspired you to rhyme?
So inspired, I was inspired from like NWA and E40, like West Coast. So West Coast, and then like I would say like some local, so New Orleans artists as well. So we had artists like Tim Smooth, Low Key Mystical was a influence, Tupac of course. But like I really flow wise, like I love E40, Spice One, MC8, you know, and like I said, a bunch of our locals. So, Mystical is real big, low key, spitting, Tim Smooth bars, so had a lot of early, hip hop influences.
One thing about it with New Orleans, Sess, is that it's known for three things: great food,
Yes.
bad, beautiful bad women in a good way,
Yes.
and obviously the party culture. You embody this in every facet of your art and expression. Um, you said you started in 98 in terms of really doing this in earnest. People don't know that Cash Money started in 1990. And of course, Master P was out in the Bay Area with No Limit with his record store in Richmond, California. So the seeds were already there. But in 98, when Cash Money goes national, this is when it really, and even beforehand with No Limit in 95 About It. That's when, Rap City, that's when we first heard about them. So it's the beginning with them. Cash Money kind of really brings it to the forefront. And then you are inspired, obviously, with what's going on to start your own movement. How big was it for you all during that time for people to recognize New Orleans as a legitimate force in hip hop music and being a catalyst for directing the culture musically?
So what's crazy is like, we had our own sound, our own vibe, if you know about, just the bounce music culture, like we've been getting it in since 89, early 90s, different artists was making music from, Gregory D. We had a lot of early folks like T.T. Tucker, DJ Jimmy. So we had artists that was
Yeah.
putting on, before Cash Money and No Limit, was making an impression, in New Orleans. And so we had artists that was just, killing it in our own, in-house culture. And so when, Cash Money start like doing their thing, probably like 93, 94, we have Partners in Crime. We got UNLV. That's when you seen like the Miss T's, Cheeky Black, DJ Jubilee. So we had South Coast Records, Take Four Records. We had a number of labels who was in the runnings, just with Cash Money. Then this before No Limit, because, P was in, like you say, Richmond. And so we had our own sound that was just killing it. And Mir X and Mystical and Fiend, they was doing their own thing before P, came back and swooped them up. So everybody was having their own success. Like we had just plenty of artists just dropping music, bounce, gangster bounce. We just had a whole fun culture vibe. And Cash Money, took one of, I guess, the lead because they just was so consistent. They had Manny Fresh, and Manny Fresh was doing tracks for other people that wasn't on Cash Money, like Cheeky Black and LOG, who I mentioned. And then I think Baby was like, nah, you can't do no beats for nobody else, man. You making a competition, stronger,
Right.
and so they stopped like letting him outsource, the production, and that kind of made Manny just focus on all of the Cash Money artists, and then P came down and got me a X, and got KLC, and start giving Cash Money a little, I guess, competition. But by P being in Richmond and having access to, I guess, the West Coast connections, he was able to kind of get in the front. But with Cash Money being local, like it was homegrown. So they grew from New Orleans to different parts of Louisiana to the southern region and this, North Carolinas. And they grew more organically and had that, hometown love. And but we had our own vibe before they even went, national with it.
And I was interested you
That's
mentioned
true.
that, man, because I remember we coming up, we buying those records and stuff. We noticed the shift in the No Limit sound because when they came in '97, I think they started with True to the Game. You start hearing more so of that gumbo sound, so to speak. Like you started
Yeah.
hearing more of that gutter New Orleans sound because in the other albums they were more like Bay Area influence, West Coast influence. So I think that's where they started in '97 when they went back to the gutters, so to speak.
Yeah, Mia X even said it when P came signed her. She said like, "Hey, you got to get some KLC, some Beats by the Pound. You need some Moby Dick. You got to get some New Orleans sounds. If I'ma be on this label, like them West Coast tracks is cool, but nah, I need that 808. And Pete listened,
Yeah.
and he was a smart man.
To look back at it, and of course, shout out to Moby Dick. We had him on the show a few years back. Absolute legend. To see that movement begin to bubble, uh, and to just all the hard work that you all put in, all the legends that you named that came before you all, to see it flourish the way that it did. I mean, when you're looking at all the hoods, Lower Ninth, Desire, Tulane Gravier, Florida, Broad and Claybone, Holly Grove. I mean, you all spoke, for every hood out there. What did that mean for you to be a representative, to be a voice for your origins?
Yeah, so for me, it was honorable because I'm from the Ninth Ward, I'm from the Desire Project, and growing up in New Orleans, it was always like uptown versus downtown
Mm-hmm.
vibe, energy, and I was a part of Untouchable Records in 1998, and we was like the downtown label. So LOG, Feli Phil, Miss T, Sac Mafia, and Pimp Dog, and Cash Money was the uptown, label. And we was rivals actually, but uptown was the stunting, the flashy, and downtown was just more street gangster real, and we had so many artists from the Ninth Ward that were successful, but they didn't get they just do, like the uptown artists did. So, your Feli Fields, your Kid, he also had success with, G
50
Unit
Cent.
and Lil
Yeah.
Wayne, yeah, and 50. but he was a part of the squad with Lil Wayne also. And so anytime like somebody from downtown, get love, Hot Boy Ronald, uh, like we had real bangers though, like I said, LOG and Low Key. And like it's always a badge of honor when somebody could represent your hood. And so anybody who, hear our music, even though the whole city was on it, so don't get me wrong. So it wasn't, like just our hood, like the whole city and beyond was on the music. But when you represent your city and you in your hood and you just get love everywhere, is a great feeling.
Man, I mean, how gratifying. I mean, to see that second generation, because you all that generation, see the guys that come behind you, like Currency, Marcelo, OG Bezel. We had him on the show a few years back. Great interview. Um, what was in terms of carrying on that tradition for yourself? What was it like in terms of you getting in the studio for the first time? Tell us about when you wrote your first lines of rhyme.
Yeah, so like I shared, I was on two different projects the first day I came into the industry professionally. So I feel like I done something maybe nobody, done ever, in the
Mm-hmm.
world. But when we dropped that project in '98, hearing myself on the radio, for the first time, that was a unbelievable, feeling. But getting in the studio, uh for me, it was like hearing yourself, for the first time, like, because it's a different feeling of like rapping live. Like, so I was one of the battle rap guys. I was one of the guys they would call or sick me on other rappers. So I was like killing other rappers all over the city. You heard me? But then when you get in the studio, you like, hey, let's make a song. Let's put it in a song format, and then you hear it, and you get to, play it back, and everybody in the studio, saying like, this a good record, this a hit record, this a hot record. That's a different, feeling from just rapping it live in person, and then when you make an actual CD, tape, and then other people get to play it in their cars and all around the city. You hear your music getting played, like that's a powerful feeling. Like none other.
Yeah. When you got that knowledge that you had in terms of laying the music down and getting your feet wet, what did you find in terms of how that would help you when you decided to start your own label?
So when we first started, like I followed the blueprint of the professionals like LOG and Feel Phil, and like they would lay two tracks in terms of like the lead vocal. So they'll rap their verse and then rap it again and then add libs and different stuff like that. And so back then we was dealing with ADATs, so this was super far back. So we recording on ADATs with like VCR tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and, you know, when I got into my own recording and record labels, so like I would just do one lead vocal because I started growing and I would listen to like Jay-Z and some of the other artists who they would only have one lead vocal and just like some ad libs. And so I started, following that blueprint. And then also like when Lil Wayne started not writing his raps because he realized Jay-Z didn't write his raps, and Kid and all of us, we started doing the same. Like we stopped using notebooks and notepads and writing down. We just started going straight out the dome, straight out the head. But we would write it in our head and then lay it
Right,
down.
right.
So that was one of the processes, that eventually it evolved in. But making a hit is making a hit, so you got to come with different formats to your songwriting. So coming with a verse first, no chorus. Coming with a chorus and then your verses. Adding a bridge on the song, not putting a bridge on the song. Shortening up the verses, or either you know doing collabos. So I might run a line, then let another artist run a line, and then I come with a line, and they come with a line. So just different formats to creating the songs so they don't sound the same on the album. So that's a different process as well.
Absolutely. When you're looking at nuance in terms of song structure between a 16 bar, 32 bar, you're running it through without a chorus, with a chorus. Like you said, ad libs are everything because you have to know exactly when to place in terms of the type of effect and impact that you want to have with it. Understanding all of this, and you became fluent in the language because you were an astute student. Um, when did you know that you all had something in terms of when the neighborhood really began to respond to it?
Man, it was really like just the first projects because uh LOG was a household name and I was featured on his project. Miss T was a household name and I featured on her project. So it got me a lot of ears, so a lot of people, heard those albums and those songs, and then we dropped, Sag Mafia Untouchable. And when people play your song without you knowing them, like they go to the store and buy the tape, they go buy the CD, and we hearing it and they come back and, tell you, or you just see them vibing, driving down the street, like what was crazy, my project Sag Mafia Soccer Balling, which was the first like real album. It was a group album, but that was my first album. Like I didn't even have a car, and people was riding down the street bumping my album in their car, and I'm like, that's an indicator, right there. And like, buku different cars just playing your music, and the whole hood just happy for you, because you dropped the project and they ready to see you win.
What was it like
Yep.
when you first got that hit, when you knew that you were crossing into different regions? Now, when we talk about people from the East Coast possibly hearing your music and California hearing your music.
Yeah, so my project Sess 5 Nothing But Fire, it dropped in '04, and I had a song on that called I'm Fucking. If a bitch in my car, I'm fucking. If I buy a drink by the cup, I'm fucking. I'm talking about
We can
everybody
relate.
loved.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody loved this record like all over the world, and people would tell me like, man, I'm in Germany playing your record, I'm in Afghanistan, like, war folks who I guess deployed, listening to the music. And so I couldn't fathom that though. I couldn't like, wait, hold on, somebody in a whole nother country, playing the music. And this is before social media. So this is like you gotta be a real, fan. You gotta have the physical product, because it wasn't no social media or anything like that. And we sold thousands and thousands of CDs, out the trunk, out the stove. We just was like just working this music thing. And we had like great music. And so that's the one era in New Orleans is like that 94 to probably 2005 was a lot of great music that came from this city that just really changed the culture worldwide, But it was amazing just to hear different people, China, just people from all over the world, and the United States as well. But when somebody tell you they in Germany listening to your music, it like do something to you.
Every region has its time. Of course, hip hop being birthed in the East, and then it goes into down south, of course, with Luke and all them in Miami. Shout out to Two Live Crew, Jam Pony, and all them. Of course, can't forget 95 South Tag Team, everybody. Uh, Taking it out west, NWA, Ice T, Ice Cube, Cam, DJ Quick. So it comes back, so it comes around to y'all, because, into Louisiana. So like you said, the music that y'all bought us was something, that was obviously familiar with y'all, but we had never heard. And we loved it when y'all bought it to us with that gift. That entrepreneurship, Sess, of knowing how to move? Because, like you said, this is all before social media. So you all are doing this hand to hand out the trunk slanging. Um, what was it? What did it mean for that level of self-starting entrepreneurship to meet the people, for them to see you, to interact, and most importantly, sell them on your product?
So, like we grew up on the loop music, like we in the project, and Two Live Crew, blasting. That was like the soundtrack to the block parties. And, when you got your NWAs and, even, the East Coast stuff with the KRS ones and, you know, Mob Deep and Nas and, Slick Ricks and all of these records was that was playing in the house parties and the block parties and all of that, right? So we grow up to this music, and then when it's our turn, right? It's like all of our people creating music, and we hearing Seven Ward, we hearing Calio, we hearing Desire, we hearing Ninth Ward and Third Ward, Melphamine. So like we don't care nothing
Yeah,
about what's
man.
going on. We don't care about nothing what's
You said
going
melt
on
for me.
nowhere
I
else
like,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So we
shout out to Desire, man. We had
yeah,
him on not too long ago.
right. There's Desire.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
Crazy
we
nigga.
we stuck on us and we creating this music, and New Orleans is just a party city. So so the music we making is is party, is the street culture, is fun, is sex, drugs, is all of that. And so we making this music, but we don't have access to Def Jam records and Universal records and all of this stuff where New York can go walk up the street and be at Def Jam, Warner Brothers or whatever, right? We don't have that. We don't have. I don't know how the West Coast was operating, but I know Priority was dropping a lot of West Coast projects. So we had to make out. We had to be record labels and find the distributors and print our stuff. We call pen and pixel to make
Yeah,
all of the graphics and
yeah. We
we
know about
we,
pen and
we
pixel.
yeah, so we became the entrepreneurs because we didn't have the access, to those labels. So we didn't even care about getting on the major labels. Like, look, we gonna sell these CDs out the trunk, out the car, out the book sack, in the stores, locally and regionally, and just create this phenomenon and create this movement and just go from city to city, state to state. And that's what we did, and it just took off.
Man. And when it did, you all showed them that, what they weren't looking for, they found it, whether they were looking or not. Um, Tell us about when you really start going out on tours and when you're really, really like going outside. I mean, what was some of the what would be the demographics, the areas of where you all would go to do your shows at? Tell us about the first show you ever did.
So we started, naturally just in our neighborhoods in New Orleans, doing different shows here and there. But uh, in New Orleans, we would have multiple hot artists at the same time. So Partners in Crime would have a run. Juvenile will get a run. BG will get a run. Fila Phil get a run. Miss T got her run. Cheeky Black got her run. Mia X got their run. So we would do shows together. So we would have like Lady Red all on one show, Sess 45, Daddy Yo. So we did shows together as a group, and then we would get booked in other cities, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Alexandria, Shreveport. So we just working at the time. It was, they call it a chitlin circuit. So we would just work that chitlin circuit and hit every city that loved New Orleans music. And then Katrina hit. When Katrina hit, it actually displaced a lot of New Orleanians. So our fans displaced all over the world also. So
Right,
now
right.
we get to, go do shows in Dallas, and you know, some artists was already, you know, doing the traveling, but now we got tens of thousands of people in Atlanta, in North Carolina, and all of those different places. So we was able to actually use that tragedy, you know, to expand our fan base, and now we got not just a few people that know about the New Orleans music and sound and the culture, but you got, you know, hundreds of people to thousands of people, just depending on what city, you know, they in America. And that just, you know, made it go crazy.
That's dope, man. When you earlier you when you were naming the lineups in terms of some of the artists, when you said uh Red, were you was that Kate Lady Red? Was that also the same as Katie Red, or was that a whole different artist?
That's two different people. So Lady Red is a female, and uh Katie Red is a male.
Right, right. Because I'm familiar with Katie Red. I read about her. I read about him in Double XL magazine years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
Lady
Okay.
Red had smoking that weed, smoking that fire. I don't know if you ever heard that
Gotcha.
record, but yeah, Lady Red got a weed song.
Okay. Hey, fire it up.
Yeah, it's hard, hard. You heard me? Legendary. Lady Red, a legend in the city, had a one big record that she still get booked, you know, 20, 25 years later. 30 years almost, probably.
Another one of your fallen sisters, Magnolia Shorty. Rest in peace.
Yes.
Um, what was her impact in the game in terms of being part of that wave that you all were in?
So Magnolia Shorty had a huge impact, you know, on uh the local scene and the national scene. But just growing up, she was the second, you know, female signed to Cash Money Records.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she had the Monkey on That Stick song that, you know, went crazy. But after Cash Money, you know, moved away from, I guess, the more the bounce sounds, and she was independent. Like
Mm-hmm.
she just took it to a whole nother level, you know, from going to the clubs and just like rocking the DJs and the block parties. And then she created some songs like Smoking Gun and some other records that just took the clubs by storm, right? And so she just had a sound that was growing, and her voice was just growing. As the like, it was almost what she was going to like the queen of bounce status. Like, so she was, you know, a bounce artist who could also rap, but her showmanship in the clubs like was hands down, you know, A1, right? And so she just had a lot of notoriety, and a lot of people sampled her voice after she passed. And you know, you got the City Girls and Drake, and you know, a number of different people who sampled. And still to this day, like I think they had the guy in Dallas sampled up her voice as well. So, and people still doing it, you know, to this day. They still sampling her voice because she can't be replaced. She can't be mimicked. You know, it's like all of the women who came after her not necessarily doing it the way she did it. And so you know, like we truly gonna miss Magnolia Shorty, but her impact was it's still making a huge impression, you know, even to this day.
And you know, I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you about the impact that you guys have made. And we're going to talk about fashion. Like NWA, they brought the Raider gear. The East Coast, they had the polo and the low lives. You guys, you had the white tees, the soldier rags.
Definitely. So it like New Orleans was a impoverished city, right? And so like not a lot of money there, you know, especially for black people. So if you wasn't, you know, getting street money, you didn't really, you know, have a lot of money. And so the white tees was like something that we could get fast, like a $5 t-shirt, you know, and
Right,
you could be
right.
still fresh, you know, every day, even if you don't really have it like that, right? And so when you get like a Cash Money, a Birdman who implementing this whole stunting image, you know, like it changed, you know, the aspirations of everybody. Like everybody wanted to be Scarface and be the brick man, and have the block sold up. So that's like, like a goal for most everyday people, So when he have the success and now they can make the videos and get them on BT and show you this image. Of course, we using the street image of, the t-shirts and, you're going to see the jewelry, the Rolexes and all that. But the soldier rags that come from the Magnolia Project, because everybody had their own identity as far as a project. So the Calio got their identity, the Melphamine got their identity, the Iberville Project got their identity, the Magnolia, they the soldiers. And that's what you get Soldier Slim, because Soldier Slim as an artist, he from the Magnolia. And it may be because it rhymed with, soldier rhyme with Magnolia. I don't know if that's where they, like stamped it from, but everybody got their identity and everybody know the Magnolia representing the soldiers in camouflage. And so, of course, Juvenile being from that same project, he ran with the soldier and the camouflage and the soldier rags. That was the name of his, first album. And that took off as well. So you got the whole city, loving Juvenile and his music and loving Soldier Slim and Magnolia Slim. Like you said, if you know the first, early works from Magnolia Slim, and it just took off, man. So Reebok did a shoe called the Soldier. You know what I'm saying? From Soldier Slim, and the impact that we have, like we selling thousands. Like, so Uptown was rocking the Reeboks, Downtown rocking Nikes, but just because it's Soldier Slim and like we love Soldier Slim, Downtown wearing Reeboks, and they sold a whole bunch of Reeboks to where Reebok gave Soldier Slim a deal for a shoe as an artist back in the 90s, early 90s.
Oh wow! I don't think we ever knew about this.
You never knew that?
No, sir. We did not know this.
Yeah, you could Google that. So Reebok gave Soldier Slim a shoe deal, and it was named after Soldier Slim. It was the soldiers. Yeah. So if you listen to some of Slim music, he tell you that and that's why they got these soldiers is made for walking. That's his shoe, the soldiers. The Reebok soldiers. Yeah. So.
Okay, we got some history on off the cuff we did not hear before. Thank you for that lesson.
Nah,
When Soldier, because this is huge to get a shoe deal. What did that mean for the exposure that you all were like, yo, somebody is like really listening to us? What did that mean?
So it just meant for us that we was on the right path, So when you first see, Mystical on Soul Train, and then you start seeing, Master P, and you see the Hot Boys, and you see, Mr. Magic and C Murder and BG and everybody have success. Like, for one, they putting on for the city, right? So you got these artists representing our projects on a global stage, on a national stage, on BET, MTV. So MTV Cribs, all of these different, shows, like we rooting for the home team. And so for different people to get situations and deals, it just feel like, okay, we seen and they respect us and they value us, because at one point, like they wasn't respecting the music from the South. Like, they wasn't respecting, they was like them country boys, from, UGK, the Outkast, the Master P. And it was like, okay, if you East Coast, that's real hip hop. But if it's damn near anywhere else, that ain't even real hip hop or music. And so when you see the tides change and people respecting the music, everywhere nationally, is like, okay, we validated in a sense.
Feel you. And that proved prophetic in 1995 when Andre 3000 said the Source Awards, the South got something to say. And indeed, y'all had a lot to say in abundance. One thing about it, Sess, New Orleans, as well as dope ass music, New Orleans is deadly serious. I mean, when you got when you got group, clicks like the 39ers game, Dooney Boys, G Strip, it's serious. I mean, and obviously you knew people, coming out of that. Um, and one thing about that, I said it to say, respect is paramount in the game. We got to say it on the show, lovingly, respectfully. New Orleans beef different. So when people, so we tell anybody we know, New Orleans is one place you do not want to talk crazy in
Why you
ever.
don't really see many, that's why you don't see many that's why you really don't see many quote unquote battles like that. It might you hear a lot of diss records, but it's gonna get settled one way, shape, and form.
Yeah, New Orleans don't have gangs or anything, like the Bloods and the Crips and the GDs and Vice Laws and all that. Like that couldn't live because like we have wards and like everybody representing their ward and everybody gonna like stick together for their hood and represent and is a post Katrina era,
Hmm.
so everything from before 2005, like you couldn't even come in a certain area if we didn't know you. Like
Right.
you can't just come in the St. Thomas project. You can't just come in the Melphamine. Ain't no gentrification. If you coming around, you looking for drugs. Like are you the people? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you really had to be stamped.
Right.
You might don't survive. And it was just those tight knit neighborhoods. Pre Katrina, and it was just a different time. So like that pre Katrina and post Katrina separates New Orleans from NOLA. So that's a gem I'm gonna just share with y'all. So after Katrina is NOLA.
Right.
Before that is New Orleans. So that's the separation of the eras.
Man, listen, but what you said is true. One of my homegirls, who's from New Orleans,
I think you break it up, T. Hold on 1 second.
they
There you
said
go.
she said if you pull up in a car out there and they don't know you, they looking. She's like, if you were to stop, if you were to red light, look both ways, then go. She was like, do not play out there. Um,
Well, it's
how did
it's
you go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's like I believe is like anywhere for the most part. If you
Right,
looking like you don't belong, or like we'll give you a pass if you pass the first time and you looking like you don't belong, or you looking for an address and you ain't really sure where the address. And now if you make the block, you better kind of know what address, what house you trying to stop by, because
right.
it's like folks be at odds with different folks or whatever. So uh you can't look like, hey, you looking for somebody, you got multiple people in the car and this might be a set. So if it's a set,
Right, right.
dude's gonna, look at you, and everybody will rather bomb first and ask questions later than to, get hit in, like, I guess, a wartime.
Understood, understood, understood.
And you
Um,
brought up the difference in eras between Katrina and post Katrina and pre Katrina. What did it differentiate in terms of unity?
Yeah, so like the unity was like the neighborhoods, like, so the whole Magnolia, they rocking with the Magnolia. Soldier Slim got a concert, the whole Magnolia coming. And like I was sharing with you, if it's multiple people on the concert, it's Soldier Slim, it's Partners in Crime, it's Gregory D, is Feli Phil on a concert, the whole night wall going, the eight wall might be in a little area in there. The four wall might be in the area, the whole Magnolia in a little area, the Calio in the area. So if a fight happens, it's the projects versus the projects, or the wards versus the wards, but all them sticking together, pre Katrina, So post Katrina, like they started mixing the projects together. So like they would put the St. Thomas in the Iberville. They would put the St. Thomas and the St. Bernard. So now the St. Bernard and the St. Thomas beefing and they live in the same project. And so that was, the tricks of the people. Like they like, hey, look, let's tear down this project. Let's put some of the Calio people in a desire. And like
Ooh,
it all started different, wars and battles because the dudes in the Magnolia, they make money in the Magnolia. Now, if
right.
I put you in the Florida project, even though you're not from this particular area, you still got to make money some kind of way. And, it's going to cause, beef. And so that's how, the St. Bernard and the St. Thomas start beefing and different little, wars. But post Katrina, like further along after that, like it became less, uptown, downtown, less Magnolia versus Calio. It became less of that because a lot of people scattered all over the world. And, now we also gotta like live in these different elements where, okay, two different projects sharing one project, two different areas. And then the neighborhoods looked at totally different too. So like all of the 7th Ward, the neighbors who used to live in the 7th Ward, they don't live there no more, and you got your gentrification and all of those different things. So now the neighborhood look different. So it's not as much pride in the 7th Ward specific area as it was, pre-Katrina.
Got you. I mean, you all aren't just known for music. You all are known for some great athletes. Guys like Randy Livingston played at LSU and went to the NBA. Um, what is it about where you're from that fuels so much creativity and greatness? The resolve to succeed against all odds when everything is stacked against you.
Man, we hungry, we starving. You hear me? It's a necessity. It's like poverty, like I was sharing with you. Like it's the poverty is is almost third world, poverty in America. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like right now, I think the minimum wage is like 7.25 or 7.35. It was like that over 20 years ago. The same
mm-hmm.
7.25. And so that's worse in terms of like in the 90s, it was like $5. So you
Man,
so you got people that's just poverty stricken, that's hungry. They need food. They trying to survive. They trying to do it for their mama. They trying to do it for their family. They trying to be the one to break these generational curses. And so it's like it's me or nothing. It's all or nothing. And so when you get on that basketball court and you get that opportunity to go to college and then go to the league, or you on that football field and you get a scholarship and you go to a college or you get to the league, it's like I gotta take care of my whole family. And it's the same with dudes in the streets. And it's the same with all of these, entrepreneurs, these CEOs, these artists. It's like, man, we trying to take care of the whole family, take care of the whole hood, take care of the whole block, take care of the whole 7th Ward, the whole Magnolia. So like we trying to take care of the whole city. Every different artist that do what they do, they putting on for the whole city. And that's why we do it so hard. And it don't matter if you a chef and you making the best food, you putting on for the city. If you a athlete, you're an artist, you painting, you're a movie star, so like Wendell Pierce and all of these actors, the Tyler Perrys, and
yeah,
like they putting on for the whole city. It ain't you because we didn't have too many people who had it good. Like we didn't have no silver spoons in New Orleans. You hear me? Like you got it out the mud. Yeah. And so like we salute everybody that been successful and they put the city on their back and went handle their business.
And you tapped in,
man.
talking about with the athletes, man. I don't think people understand what goes into that? Like the work that you got to put in, and not only being consistent, but also the being the breadwinner of the block, being the breadwinner of the family, being the breadwinner of your hometown. It's like a whole dynamic that goes in there. It's a different form of pressure.
Nah, it's definitely a pressure, but it's like certain people gonna protect you, so that you can succeed. Like, certain people might be like, hey, don't let him touch nothing because we need him to be successful in as an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna take care of your sneakers and whatever you need in school, just you focus on that and then go get it and take care of your moms and give back when you become successful. That's why you may see so many different athletes doing the camps, the football camps, and all of the different things, because like that's a byproduct. That's the trade-off. Like, that's you paying it forward. So like the hood took care of you, you know what I'm saying? Kept the lights on. Now, you do these camps and give some other kid a chance.
Man, I mean, when you look at guys like Peyton Manning, when you look at guys like Ed Reed coming from there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it just further cements the legacy of greatness that has come out of there. When you decided to open up your record store after Katrina, tell us about that in terms of the vision that you had for it.
So we opened up the store out of necessity, not because we wanted to, right? So uh '02 we formed our label Nothing But Fire Records. '04 I dropped the first project. 2005 Katrina hit. We back in 2005. I throw the first concert Halloween, on the West Bank though, because the East Bank was flooded, all messed up, right? So 2006, like, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. New Orleans is the home. I don't want to be in Houston saying what it do and all these other slangs that I saw some of my counterparts, saying, because like a lot of New Orleans artists was getting stuck in Houston or Dallas or Atlanta. They started sounding like them, right? So we selling the music to the people that's rebuilding. Everybody who in New Orleans rebuilding, I'm selling my project. I'm calling all my artist friends who was selling music, Tent Wall Buck, Lucky Johnson, LOG, like, hey man, give me your music. I'm selling mine off the chain right now, you heard me, but I can't keep selling my CD because there's only one project. And so I would get all their music, and then some of the older people like, we ain't on that rap, nephew. You heard me? Like, you got some Earth, Wind and Fire or some Frankie Beverly or, some stuff like that.
Right,
And so
right.
I'm like, okay, well, I ain't got that. So we started bootlegging that because that's what the older people wanted or whatever, right? And so we just had a thought, and it was like, hey, we were sending our music to Gonzalez Records as a distributor. Let's see if we could call them and get the music, right? And so I called Gonzalez. I'm like, man, we getting so many requests because after Katrina, none of the record stores open up. So
Right.
Peaches Records, Odyssey Records, none of the mom and pops, other big chains, like wasn't no Best Buy then, right? And so none of them rebuilt yet. And so we like, hey man, we sent y'all music. Can we get music from y'all? And it was like, yeah. So we found the location, uh went, got the leased it out, built it out, started ordering some stuff, and then we did a grand opening in July of 2007. And man, people just was coming like crazy. Nothing But Fire Records. We just selling music, grand opening. So all the artists now they coming to us when they come in town. Mos Def and Talib Kweli and T.I. and everybody coming to our spot. And like I said, that wasn't our dream or goal, but we was just making so much money selling music post Katrina to everybody who in the city, because wasn't no record label. I mean, wasn't no record store open, and it just cemented. And 18 years later, shit, we still here.
That is God's work. That is the commitment to belief. That is the unwavering resolve of staying loyal and 10 toes down in your hometown. What did that mean for you all to be able to rebuild in such a tragically devastating situation and not only rebuild, Sess, but thrive to this day?
Man, it was so powerful, and really hearing you say that, it like just bring the memories. Because rest in peace to my partner Six Wall Puck, because he started Nothing But Fire, with me, and Young Sino, my brother. But the support from everybody in 2007 to start this record store, right? And then from all the artists coming, just bring their music, all of the New Orleans artists, and then all of the people from like Louisiana and surrounding areas come and bring their music to us, and then we become a landmark in the city. Like, we have a big mural of Soldier Slim, on side of our building, so everybody would come there and take a picture. And like, we became the staple that if you coming in New Orleans as an artist, like, you gotta stop by Nothing But Fire Records. And then, like, the other record labels start rebuilding. So, like Odyssey Records came back on Canal, Peaches Records, reopened, and then you started getting like the Best Buys and Walmarts, and different people start selling music and stuff again. And so, like, we were the catalyst for music stores and being able to sell stuff again in New Orleans, but also giving artists an outlet to do in stores and autograph signings and all of that. So I just, just thinking about it while you asking, like, we were, vital in terms of the road to help artists even want to drop music again in New Orleans, or put their stuff in stores and, say, go get my new project.
That is important, man, because when you think about what that means to show everybody we have had the pleasure, the honor to interview on this show from New Orleans, and we've had a ton of them, the love, the passion, the loyalty, the commitment, the resolve, most importantly, the understanding of hard work. You all embody everything that the culture is, making a way out of no way, ingenuity, most importantly, community in that ingenuity, involving everybody. This is huge when you look at what you all have meant to the community, and how, like you said, Sess, you have been the catalyst. You all were the ones that set it into, for what was going on, in terms of really being that motivation for everybody to know we're here, we're not going anywhere. When you look at the music game today, Sess, and how it has changed so much in terms of the marketing, in terms of the creativity factor, what do you see as a veteran with so much wisdom, so much experience, and an understanding of how the market works? What have you noticed in the game today with music, with the hip hop culture and music?
So one thing that I just reflected on today was, as a veteran and an artist with experience, and just looking at the climate of veteran and seasoned artists, is like the industry, tried to push us out, right?
Mm-hmm.
The industry tried to shame, older artists, so when you get the TIs to be able to come back, and the Nas and Killer Mikes and all of these people who had success, either in the 90s or early 2000s, I think, like, they want to misuse these younger artists and shame the older artists who would make sure that they uh you know, have success and do it the right way, and pit everybody against each other. And so I think the industry did a good job of like turning younger artists against older artists, but also taking the money out the game for artists. Like, so that run you talking about, with your Cash Monies and your, the Jay-Z's and Rough Riders and all of those different areas, man, folks was making tens of millions of dollars, and they don't like black people making that kind of money, man. So they like, hey,
Facts,
let's
facts.
take these CDs out the game because the artists are making too much money. And even though the labels was making money, it's like there's too many black people becoming millionaires. And so they took out the vehicle that was, giving everybody the money systematically because we making money with CDs and uh entrepreneurs in the in the movie world. They making money with DVDs. Like, let's take the DVD manufacturing and the things that the CD players, now they not in the cost. So like whoever at Universal and all these different companies, like, hey, don't put no more GM, BMW, don't put no more CD players in the car because we don't want them niggas making no money. You heard me? Don't put no VCRs, don't make no DVDs no more because too many independent filmmakers getting paid. And now the artists getting pennies on the streaming side, intentionally, from the plan that they put in place. And now, it don't feel like I'm reaping the benefits of my art, my craft, my creativity. I'm not getting the financial benefit from it. Like, I know I put out some good work, but a million streams gonna give me $100. When I know I could go sell 10 CDs and get $100. So it's like they robbing us, and it's like, okay, let's make these artists who been in the game for a while, let's make them seem irrelevant so we could keep pimping these younger artists, and the older artists don't give them the game and the gems, and they could run with hip hop. But I'm glad that older artists coming back, and hopefully, we could bridge that gap and help some of these younger artists and you know, give them some gems on how to make some good music too, because that's another story.
Spoken like a businessman, and I'm going to run like a marathon on this because everything you said, Sess, we have talked about this on the show prior to. For the 20 millionth time, we referenced Young Khan the Don. We had him on the show years ago, brother from Kansas City. Great show, y'all. Check it out on YouTube. He talked about how the streaming cycle was broken down and how little artists make. We were so impressed by the mathematical genius of how he deduced all of this. We're still amazed to this day. And this was like 8 years ago we did that show. And he really took the time to break down these numbers. King and myself, as long as we have been on this show, we have always stressed the importance of the utmost imperative. Get those physical copies because once they're in your possession, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody
Nope.
can censor it. Nobody can mute it. This is off the cuff. We always going to keep it real. We're going to speak on it from a perspective of knowledge from real reference points. When Ice Cube on No Vaseline, on the streaming, they took out the part because, when he said on No Vaseline, because you let a Jew break up my crew, they took that out saying that was, racially insensitive. YG's Meet the Flockers, when he talks about the Asians getting robbed, they took that off because they said that was racially insensitive and derogative about Asians being robbed. The biggest, I don't want to say lie because it's not lies from the efficiency, but that is the problem of the efficiency. These new artists coming out, y'all, have felt like because of the way technology has manifested itself, like you said, Seth, they put it in there to say, well, if you do this streaming, this music is way more accessible. You got all these outlets, and that's absolutely true. What they don't tell these artists is that you don't get paid shit for it.
That pay is low.
And on top of that, the division has become with the younger artists now because you all came up at a time of hustle, grit, grind. You all did the yard work. You all were in the trenches. You did the unglamorous shit that people do not understand in terms of what it takes to commit to this and make sure by any other means this is going to work. These artists today with modern technology, they just go, hell, we've seen artists shoot videos with their cell phones. You know, you get a program, do it on your computer, make an album. And the biggest issue with some of the young people out here doing this is that number one, it takes skills, it takes time, it takes a method. Success does not come overnight. And they think that because they can do it overnight, that there should be overnight celebrity. That is not the case. They don't understand this, but they think that they're somehow better than the older artists that have put years, time, a genuine love and commitment to this. What do artists have? What do these younger artists have to understand about what it takes to not only make music, but to have longevity in it and to make something that will be classic, to be remembered years to come?
I think one, it definitely got to have fun. Like when you doing music, like it have to be, you know, enjoyable process. You and your partners, y'all having fun, in the studio because like you make the best music when you just, in a good space, and you very creative. But also, like they gotta be consistent and work
Hmm.
hard, be dedicated, uh, and like lift every stone to make yourself successful. A lot of new artists, they complacent. I would say some of them are even lazy, and they think everybody should just hand everything to them without them earning it. And they, all they know is social media, and so that's the tools that they know. And if it don't happen through social media, they don't take some of the other avenues. But like tap in with some of these seasoned veterans and get the game, go build relationships with all of the DJs, all of the club owners, all of the promoters. But just being consistent, dedicated, and go earn your key. Like if you looking for handouts, you know, that's not the best way to win and be successful. And I just think every new artist should pay homage to the people that came before them, and do everything in their power, to be successful. Because this game ain't, it's not easy. It's not made for everybody to win. It's not made for everybody to be successful. So you got to stand out. You got to do something different. You got to work harder than the next person, and your work ethic get you sometimes further than your talent. So just understanding that talent alone won't, make you successful. But if you're working hard and you work more harder than everybody who in your arena, in your area, you're gonna be the one they call when it's time for that next spot. Just keep working.
And that's absolutely true. Hard work doesn't guarantee success, but there is no success without hard work. Thinking about that, and obviously you made such great points about it. Also, in terms of the game today, Sess, we are seeing a lost art in terms of performance with a lot of these younger artists. They are more concerned with the image than actually putting on a good stage show, cultivating stage presence, and delivering something to the people that is beyond the music. They're not giving an experience. What do they have to understand about in terms of not necessarily having your vocals layered over the track when they're performing? In terms of understanding memorization, being engaged with the crowd. Yes, I'm going to go there too. Staying off the damn drugs before you get on stage. Um, this is a profession and one has to be professional. What have you learned in your journeys about this in terms of being stage prepared, show ready, and giving the people their money's worth?
Yeah, so it just came from the people that came before me, like people wanting to put on a show, the CEOs making sure you practice, your performance before you did the show. And I think a lot of the artists, the newer and the younger artists, like they not connected to nobody that could give them game, them gems, so that they can, like get better. Like get you a DJ who is on the come up and make him your DJ, and then y'all practice, 3 times a week on the performance, on when you want him to take the music out, even, your stage show, you know what I'm saying? When you rapping, you might want do something where your whole fan base that you bring to the club, you want everybody to move to the left at a certain point or move to the right. And so you have to practice on your stage show. You can't just get up there and rap. And so if artists, want the 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K a show, you got to put more in than just, showing up. And I think like a lot of those artists, they may just post on Instagram and never do shows. So they don't even know what to do with a mic. They don't even know how to hold a mic properly to make sure their voice is projected through the microphone. Like I've seen a lot of different, artists hold a mic where you can't even hear their voice through the mic because they don't have no stage presence. They don't know how to, control a mic. They running out of breath because they, smoking weed for their shows and, all of those different elements. But we got that from the veterans and they, taught us, they wanted us to, be successful. And some of these younger people, they think they know it all, so they're not getting with some of the artists who can help give them some gems and some games so they could have a successful show, so they can stand out and get booked and more, because that's what the people actually want. They want people that's gonna rock the stage, rock the shows. But if you give us a whack performance, that's your last booking.
And a lot of these artists, they do not
Yeah,
understand that in terms
yeah.
of it.
It also got to start with the fans accepting not bare minimum anymore. Because at the time we used to hold stuff like that to the fire. But see, now people want to be so part of the conversation. They want to be so part of, the clout train. They figure, hey man, he just getting money. We don't care about what he doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy, y'all, because when you think about where we're at today and the visibility, is so much more public in terms of what is being projected out to the public. So now everybody is trying to portray something. They want to give out this image in terms of who they are. Um, we do have to talk to you about this because it's part of the game. And obviously, you being a grown man who's mature about his business and sensible, we've seen an uptick over the years, Sess, of a lot of dissing on wax in terms of niggas just deliberately not only dissing, but being straight disrespectful. Um, you as an artist, as a man above anything, what would you tell these artists about staying away from that type of drama and not calling out people who violence is imminent if you insult them?
Yeah, I think about 5 years or better, like I started seeing, this disrespect, you know, for the dead, and uh, smoking on different, people that passed, and and to me, like I just felt like folks was doing stuff that wasn't of the culture. It wasn't of like black people. Like this is something that some white folks would do, and now y'all bringing that into hip hop, and being so disrespectful and negative, and it just started spiraling, out of control. And like you reap what you sow, and we started seeing it, and I've seen less of it, lately, which is a good thing. But like the beef rap, that's a part of you know, the machine that wants incarceration because we all know that these same record labels, Sony Records and Universal, they invest in the prisons. And so they'll let you diss all these other people, but flag you saying the Asians this or the Jews this, but you could nigga and kill, as much as you want, because you're gonna fill them prisons up. And so like we just encourage folks one not to put your beef on wax. Like we from the area where you didn't broadcast your move, if you was, thinking of doing something like that. And you know, like just because you might have a disagreement with somebody, this week don't mean you can't fix it, the next week. And so I think that's one of the things that the OGs have been doing, like showing that we might have had a difference, 20 years ago, but we all, mended that. And that's what I like about the Cash Money No Limit tour, even though they, had odds, back in that era, but we showing to the younger generation we could come together and get money with each other, even if we still don't, see eye to eye 100%. We could still get money together, and you just got to be able to, uh, somebody, take the high road and step up like a man and say, it was my fault, or, I could look past that situation, but you can't be so disrespectful to where it ain't no getting past the disrespect.
Yeah, and that's spoken like a true OG. When we think about that Cash Money, no limit situation, and I preface by asking this that this is not about trying to air out nobody or any specific instances. But we just want a generalization, Sess, because obviously you know people from both of those camps. During that time, when the was it really a major issue in terms of some real shit happened between them, or was it just more of a ego about who was the bigger label, or was there some stuff behind the scenes that we were not privy to?
Yeah, it definitely was, behind the scenes stuff that, the world wasn't privy to. I shared with you, the pre Katrina, you know, the Magnolia versus the Calio, the Melphamine. Like we was real territorial,
Mm-hmm.
in New Orleans. And so if somebody, gets into it with somebody from a different project, is almost like the whole project is against the whole other project, and that's just how it
Yeah.
is because like I shared, like if Soldier Slim goes somewhere, the whole Magnolia going to show up, and we all together. So it's like even post Katrina, if we all in Texas and somebody get into it with somebody from Texas, it don't matter if I'm from the 17th or the ninth. Well, we all New Orleans, we all won, in Texas. So we gonna whoop whoever from the, wherever area is, we all together. And that's how it is. So even if they didn't agree with each other in the Magnolia, if we somewhere and it's like they the Calio, we and we have like a legitimate beef, somebody from the project have a legitimate beef, we at odds. And so uh it was, things that was happening behind the scenes from a
Mm-hmm.
street side, and it was just that Master P representing the Calio project, and Baby and Cash Money representing the third wall, and some of the people way, down the lines in the entourage, might have some type of beef or eyes or whatever, and so uh, everybody rocking with their hood. I'm rocking with my hood, you rocking with your hood, right or wrong, so to speak,
Right.
and so that's what you was getting, and like we rocking right or wrong. And you also had a dynamic of, Baby, who is more considered like the hometown hero because like they got it from out the mud from here where P he went to Richmond and had some success and then came back. And so it's like,
Right.
even though P got all of the artists, you know what I'm saying, it's still his journey was different. And the Cash Money journey was like straight from here, no, like he didn't go to the what's the league outside of America when you don't get to the NBA, you go to the other
The
league.
C, you got the D
What's
League, the C, all China League, all over.
yeah. So you got one of them leagues there, and then you got to come back to the NBA take a chance. Like nah, baby just went straight to the NBA. P went
Right,
to the
right.
other league and then had to come back to the NBA. And from our perspective as New Orleanians, and it was like okay, we got this home team and we got this other home team that just took a different route, right? And they from this project and they from this project, and so it was the pre-Katrina territorial beef a little bit too, but like that was just for their camps. Like the people, like we just loved the music that everybody was doing. So, like I said, we love that they was putting on for the city from whatever part of the city they was representing.
Got you. Um, Damn, I don't think anybody we've ever had on the show broke down those politics that intricately. We appreciate that. Thank you. That's for the
Nah, it's all
archives.
love. It's
They
all
come,
love.
Um,
they come for
when you
somebody that they come for somebody from the cloth, man.
Yes, sir. Hometown,
absolutely, somebody's been
homegrown.
there that knows. When you look at the level of independent entrepreneurship you've maintained over the years, Sess, and still are doing, um, have you had labels since you've really been successful with this try to merge with you in terms of giving you a deal, whether an outright record deal or distribution deal or what have you?
Yeah, I've had different opportunities for distribution deals, different opportunities for single deals. Like I've even uh I guess like made the deals. I sabotaged some of the deals myself, like not knowing, right? Because I had a
Mm,
situation with Fifth Wall Weeby early in the
okay.
game, and I had a record on my album that was the 2004 album. We had a song, me and Weeby had a song called Good Jug, and a group reached out to him, for the record. It was my record, but they wanted to rename it and make it a Fifth Wall Weebie record, right? And so, they
Right.
was, spending money, but like I was prideful, like, nah, that bitch need to come on saying Sess '05 featuring Fifth Wall Weebie. Now it was on the radio, they was blowing the record up, but it was like, I
Right.
don't know if
Right.
it was like trying to jack me. Uh, just give him because he was the bigger artist at the time, like utilize him from a business standpoint. But I wasn't thinking. I'm a young artist, and I'm like, nah, this is my record. I need all the credit, instead of letting them put
Right.
all the money and blow the record up, and we get, show money and all of that. Like I wasn't really, using I guess the best judgment, hindsight looking back at it, of course. But we've had plenty, opportunities for success. I've done music on like the HBO show Treme, got a lot of, money from those placements and stuff like that. So but yeah, when you on know you second guess situations, I think people have ill intentions. Sometimes you sabotage your own opportunity, so i
Right.
think i I think I did that myself in my past.
Well, it's called a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I want to say when I was grinning about it earlier, I was thinking like you did some stuff you sabotaged because they were trying to come me crazy, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna catch up, get over on them with it. But no. In all seriousness, It's about understanding the business, um, because this is something that when you go into a lot of times, there's no roadmap, there's no instructional booklet. It's about instinct, it's trial and error. Um, you've been on top of your business. We hear horror stories so much about artists that were not, and they've gotten jacked for it. How important it is for artists to understand going into the business, taking care of your publishing, having a lawyer, knowing exactly what you're trying to accomplish on an independent level, or when you do go in that boardroom to negotiate.
Yeah, so I think everybody needs a team, and every artist have to figure out how can I, build my finances up to pay for all of the things that need to be paid for if they don't have a record label that's going to, pay for all of those different things. And, it's always a learning experience. Like we always learning every year. Like you never get enough knowledge to where you don't need to learn something else. So I think, of course, everybody got to realize uh, you should learn something every day, every month. You should be learning to, in your field, your career, your craft. But there's so many different elements to the music industry that you need a team. You need, attorneys. You need folks that's dealing with the publishing and the mechanical rights, your songwriters. So you need a team for your cameraman, your security. It's like it's so many different people that you need to be successful, and that all costs money. And so the artists have to figure out a way to fund all that. You got to have an accountant. Uh, and I know a lot of people like, well, I'm not making money from this. How can I, afford it? But you got to figure it out, or you got to get people who want to be in this industry, and y'all making an agreement, like, hey, look, you be my manager because you want to be in the management, space. You be my videographer, you be my DJ. You want to blow up, you can possibly be my tour DJ, but you got to have a team. Like nobody's having success, by themselves, and that's why you can see when people do that in every industry, whether it's LeBron getting his team, Drake getting his team, Lil Wayne getting Fee and his team. Like, when you get a team, because you can't do it by yourself, you make yourself that much more I
Vulnerable.
guess in line, no, not vulnerable, but in line to have the
Oh,
success that
okay,
you can
got you.
get, because like there's a certain percentage of people who will make it in this industry, but there's a certain percentage of people that if you don't have, A, B, C, and D, you will never be successful no matter how talented you are. And like I just think that everybody gotta find a way to get a team to help them get to where they want to be.
Wise words. In terms of when the money does begin to come in a little bit, what do artists have to understand about saving and not necessarily going out and splurging right away?
So one thing artists have to do is invest, like reinvest in themselves. So the best investment that you'll make is into yourself, right? So whatever it is that you do, and whatever it is that makes you better, you have to reinvest. And I'm gonna use, engineer for example, right? So if you're an
Yes, sir.
engineer and you recording different artists and people spending money with you, every week to record, you have to reinvest in your equipment. You got to stay up to date with all of the proper, pro tools, the different tools that you need, the different mics. You got to reinvest in it. And if you didn't have your soundproof, like keep, investing in the soundproof so that, when people come to your studio, you have the best equipment. And it's the same for artists, right? You got to reinvest in yourself. You can't only buy, like shoes and clothes. You got to invest in an accountant, invest in the proper people that's gonna keep your paperwork, up to date. And so you just want to reinvest in yourself and not just, get diamonds. And I understand you got to look like an artist, so if that's a part of what you think you need, go spend money on that. But when you keep getting money, put money away, because there's gonna come a time where you're not making no money, and your investments should be working for you. So if you investing in, stocks, if you're investing in the crypto, if you're investing into business, you got to invest, and all of that's investment in yourself. So don't be afraid to spend money on yourself. So if you gotta deal with the DJ pools and artwork, photo shoots, uh, e-blasts, and whatever it is that you need to do to maintain, the level of success that you want. Investing in yourself is critical. Now, if you think I'm not gonna put no money into this business or in this career, you will not get the results. If you think somebody else should spend their money and you not willing to spend your own money on you, you know what I'm saying? You're out your mind. So like, why would somebody else spend their money and you ain't even trying to invest in yourself? So I think that's one of the other little pet peeve type things that a lot of artists have against themselves. Like they want other people to spend their money, but they wouldn't even spend their own money. They just want to buy weed or something like that. Um, but nah, I just think everybody gotta, of course, save, but stack, invest in yourself.
Hey, do you care to let
Yep.
our audience know about the community activism work that you've done in New Orleans?
Nah, definitely. So in 2006, we threw the first Katrina March in second line, like a year after Hurricane Katrina. And I've been doing that for now 21 years. So we did the first one in 2006. Last year made the 20th anniversary, and then later this month, August 29th, we had a 21st annual Katrina March and Second Line. This is actually a Katrina commemorative shirt that I have on. Uh, that people go crazy for these commemorative T-shirts every year, because we switch it up every year. Uh, and I also exclusive that I'm gonna share with y'all, off the cuff. You heard me. Me and Kanye partnering on a exclusive Katrina 21 T-shirt that's dropping next week. Cause he got a concert here on the 28th. So he in the Superdome on August 28th, and we got a collab Katrina 21 piece that's dropping for sale next week. So y'all gonna see that, but yeah, so I was doing, the Katrina stuff every year. And then about 4.5 years ago, I started doing something called Youth Day NOLA. And so every month we go to a different park in New Orleans and have a free fun family day for the kids. And man, they just come out, free food, space walks, music. We give prizes, we give away instruments, and I've been getting different community groups, different organizations to partner with us, and like it's just growing. So the stuff that we doing for the community is getting bigger and bigger. I also partner with Hip Hop Caucus. We gave away over $1,000. I mean, 100,000. We gave over 100,000. To different people. Like after different storms. We cash app them 100. Over 1,000 people. We just gave money. I done bought so many resources to the community. Like, so toy giveaways. We just 2 weeks ago we just did a back to school book sack, book supply giveaway. Christmas we giving away toys, bikes, turkey drives. Me and Rod 49 partner last year, and gave away turkeys in the community. And so that's just been a part of who I am now. Just like all of the relationships, all of the connections that I get, all of the corporate, sponsors, different folks that we partner with, they bring the resources and we just, giving it to the community.
That's dope, man. I want to take a little time right quick to shout out the people who joined us in the chat. Tyron the R Kid, where's Milano? Sandman, always great to see you with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. This is great. Um, Sess, your sense of philanthropy, charity, generosity, consciousness, behavior. This is out for
Hey, break
his
it up a little bit.
community. For you to be this devoted to it, what does it mean for you to be able to help those people out there and let them know that you are forever interwoven with the fabric of the community, that you are cut from a cloth of honor and dignity and respect?
So for me, it's just, God first, right? Like I just thank God to be, the vessel that He chose to, bring these resources, to the community. But, it come from, the space I was telling you about being from New Orleans, in a poverty stricken community. And I understand, what it feels like to be poor, like I understand, standing in line to get assistance, to get that government cheese block, to get the commodity rice and the cheap cereals and to not have water and not have lights and to, have to run an extension cord to the neighbor, or go ask the neighbor fill up these water jugs and all this. So I understand, just the poverty level. I know what it feel like, and the whole city, understand that. Like, man, we was really super poor, in the '90s. You know what I'm saying? And so the times ain't really changed. Like, of course, the cost of living went up. Like the the inflation and everything, like the it costs a whole lot to live. It costs a lot to be 5 years old. It costs
Mm,
money to be 4. It costs money to be 7. You know what I'm saying? And the income ain't matching the inflation. Like I just shared, like it's still
right,
7.25 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like you can work at a fast food restaurant and I can come through the drive through and my meal might cost $20 or $30 that I spend with you in that little 3-4 minute window that I came through the drive through, right? But you still
right,
got 54 minutes before you make $7 more. Like is you making $7 an hour, even 10 if you was making $10, but I just spent $30 in 3 minutes, whatever time it took but you gotta stay there for the rest of that hour just to make $8, and like I understand that, right? And it's like we have to make a living wage for the people, but like people is in, a unequal exchange for their time with a lot of these corporations. And, if I can help, assist, tap in with other community people, tap in with other um, businesses or corporations, because they got the resources, they've been pimping the community, forever. You heard me? Like, nah, give some of that back. And, we gonna make sure y'all give it back, So that's just our job as the people who, you know, have the street credibility, have the credibility to do the things that we need to do. And we have the wherewithal, because that's so some people when they in a fight, they don't have the wherewithal to do the stuff that the other ones who might be a little bit more well off or a little bit more stable, that they could fight for the other people. Because I noticed that with Katrina, like some people still in Houston, Atlanta, wherever they at, they gotta live, they gotta put their people in school. They can't fight to be a New Orleanian. Like I have the freedom too. Like they mind ain't they was in the water, they was on the roof. They mind ain't there yet. They still recovering. So somebody gotta fight for them people who ain't there yet. They gonna get there, but they ain't there yet. So that's what we doing for the people who ain't financially there yet and they need some assistance. So we go and get it and bring it back.
That's what it is. And but before we wrap this up, man, I want to ask you this, man. How did you link up with Fleetwood? Big shout out to him for making this happen.
Man, Fleetwood came to New Orleans. Was it New Orleans one time or either Atlanta? Like, man, I honestly I don't remember because we met a bunch of times, right? But Fleetwood was on the circuit, and it might have been Atlanta at a music conference or Miami at a music conference, just in New Orleans, connecting because I tapped in with Fleetwood a bunch of times a very long time ago. And Fleetwood was just great people, man. He good people, and in the music, always got great, ideas. And I'm one of the people who build relationships. So like when I network with you, I tap in, because I don't know when I'm gonna go to Cali. I don't know when I'm gonna go to, North Carolina or wherever, but I always won't have, somebody that I linked up with that I felt like we aligned and we was good people that I could call when I touch down. And so it's the same vice versa. So here in New Orleans, he gonna hit me up, hey, I just touched down. You heard me roll out the red carpet, and that's what we gonna do. And vice versa. If I come where he at, he rolling out the red carpet, and that's how, this relationship, like saying with y'all, man, y'all come to New Orleans, we rolling out the red carpet, or if I see you wherever, you know what I'm saying? So it's just gonna be, love and mutual respect. But Fleetwood just a great guy, and he
He
gonna
is. He is.
open up
Absolutely.
every, relationship he got to you.
Definitely, man. One thing is, because I got we got to hit New Orleans. The food out there is what I heard is phenomenal. I heard that
Yes.
Popeyes is like nothing. I'm in Virginia. I heard that New Orleans Popeyes. Once you have that, you won't want no other Popeyes after that.
Yeah, it's a totally different flavor, from outside of Louisiana Popeye. So I'm not sure if like we got the original spices here. What they do, I don't know what they do here. But when you go somewhere else, it's a knockoff. It ain't as good. It's still good. Don't get me wrong, but
Right, right.
it is not the original or something. I don't know. We got a different wing or something. I don't know what's going on with the wings we got here.
Look, I had people come down there and they were like, that food. Look, I can see why Zion, they were concerned when he went to New Orleans Pelicans. They were like, that boy gonna go crazy at the buffet table because I heard that food is, oh my goodness. Before we jump off, how did you and Kanye end up linking for that collaboration of clothes?
Yeah, so one of Kanye producers, Malik Youssef, he my guy. We met through the Hip Hop Caucus, and
Okay.
so Malik, I called Malik when I saw Kanye was coming to New Orleans, and so when he announced the date, I'm like, hey, that's the day before Katrina, and so I'm like, man, I'm trying to get Ye at the second line the next morning. What time y'all leaving? You heard me? And he was like, well, I ain't, I'm not sure. Ye gonna move how Ye move. I don't know if he, you know, busting out or if he gonna stay. And I was just telling him about it's the 21st anniversary of Katrina. Kanye did the thing on the benefit where he said George Bush don't care about black people, right? And so we was just talking about that. So it's 21 years since Kanye said, George Bush don't care about black people. And we had an idea for some, merch in a collaboration with, my brand. So I have a clothing brand called Hustle Guard Clothing, and got the website hustleguardclothing.com. And then, like I said, every year we make these commemorative T-shirts with this is the X for when they was going to the different houses searching for bodies and everything after they blew the levees and go and search for bodies in New Orleans or whatever. So we use this X every year. So this number here changed. This the 21, and so every year it would change. So we went from 1 to 5 to 15 and now 21. And so I'm like, let's make a collaborative piece, with Ye and with us, the New Orleans Katrina Commemoration Inc. and Hustle Guard Clothing. And we was able to, put that play together, and it's gonna drop next week.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, we
Before we
definitely
jump
gonna
off,
we will definitely be supportive of that.
I send y'all the
absolutely.
link for sure. You heard me? Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll send you our personal information in your DM. Before we jump off, is there any shout outs that you want to give anybody or what have you?
Of course, I want to shout out you too. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all for bringing me, you heard me, off the cuff.
Thank you.
You
Thank
heard
you.
me? Appreciate your T Mac. Appreciate your King Eric. Shout out to Fleetwood also for connecting the dots. But just, y'all fans, y'all listeners, I want everybody to follow me on the gram at Sess45, Sess45. Shop with me, go to my clothing line, hustleguardclothing.com, get some merch, but tap in. I got the new single just dropped Friday, Sess45. This ain't for them. And if you 30 plus, you know what I'm saying? This song is a fun record that's something for us, something for the over 30,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, to rock out with. But shout out the whole New Orleans, man. Everybody that, came before me, all the legends. Shout out to all of the young people who making big moves, who coming, after us, getting it in. And if y'all want to do business, connect. If you're in the NO, you ever in the NO, hit up your man, Sess45. Nothing but fire records, 1840 North Claiborne. Y'all come dip through the south. And we could go on Frenchman or bourbon. It's up to you, wherever you want to go. You know what I'm saying? But log on to Katrina21.com if you want to support the movement that we doing in the community. And that's pretty much it, man. Appreciate y'all for all the love, boss.
No
And
doubt, man.
thank
We appreciate it,
you.
man.
And
Yes,
thank you for
sir.
so much that you do, man. And we'll be in touch, man. God bless to you and yours. Keep up the great work. And thank you for making music that is timeless and still being a presence in the culture, still being impactful, Sess. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all, man. Have a great night. Until next time. I can't
Yeah.
wait till I come back, man.
You're welcome back anytime. You're welcome back. And yo, any artists that you have out in New Orleans or anywhere just looking to get on for some exposure for an interview, we're right here. Reach out anytime, no matter what time.
Okay, definitely. I'm gonna definitely connect y'all with a lot of dope artists.
All right. King, on that note, take us out of here.
All right, man. We about to be up out of here. Catch y'all same off the cuff time, same off the cuff radio channel, man. You heard?
Be blessed, everyone. Peace.
All right.